Hello everyone, today we have new video review and this time we will check fresh release from Eduard. As you can see, that's a 1/48 scale aircraft which is part of weekend edition kits. And it copies Hellcat Mk.I, and I think for some of you this plastic might be familiar because it's quite famous kit from Eduard. It was repacked as a special editions, it was packed as a Profi packs, and now we have a weekend edition kit which copies this particular version of the aircraft. And of course there are two marking options included, so as you can see, one is depicted on this box art and another one is shown here in form of this simple profile. Box size is quite typical for 48 kits from Eduard. Here you can see comparison with my hand, and on the other side we have information about the manufacturer, that is not suitable for children, small children. And here we have two marking options once again depicted together with needed paint numbers which you might use for those marking options. This is a top opening box. And here is what we have inside. So as you can see, package is quite tight. Note that sprues are almost edge to edge with box, even though here we have some space. So it's not that bad. And on the top we have transparent sprue, which is packed into the separate plastic bag. Just give me a second to open it and we will take a closer look at this first component of the kit. Of course, here we have canopy parts, and again, of course, you will be able to replicate open canopy on your aircraft, but cockpit here will be quite simple out of the box, so if you want to get a better detailing, don't forget about PE parts. Next we have all grey plastic frames packed into the same plastic bag. Here you can see them. They're quite large and contain different parts in them, so just give me a second to open it. Okay, so here's what we have. First is this frame with fuselage halves, and those are separate cowling panels, so you will have to attach them separately together with each other in order to get a nice joint. Then here we have some sign of the special fluid which is used for the non-sticking plastic parts, but it's not serious. I mean, the plastic parts and their surface is not damaged, so it's just a visual, let's say, sign. Then here inside we have minor cockpit detailing which will be added with separately assembled cockpit. Note that here we have special position elements for the cockpit floor, and of course cockpit will also serve as a guiding element because there are only two guiding points on the fuselage halves, one in the nose and another one in the tail. Next we have wing parts. Parts division here should be familiar to you if you already seen Hellcat kits from the same manufacturer. We have each wing assembled out of two halves and with separate ailerons and gun barrels. And of course gun barrels would be better to replace with metal replacement for better appearance in such big scale. And note that here we have special tabs which will ensure rigidity of this assembly. And then you just insert these parts into the fuselage, and if you do everything in the right way, you won't even need the glue. That's quite amazing feature of this kit. Then here we have another plastic sprue. This one carries mix of parts. For example, here we have propeller with attachment points right on the blade edges. Then we have elevators, some parts for the tail wings. Also here we have cockpit wall, rear wall. Here is a pilot seat, front cowling section, and here is a cockpit floor. Everything is molded nicely once again, but this attachment point design for the propeller might require due attention because otherwise you might damage the parts. And last grey plastic sprue is dedicated again to a mix of different parts. Here we have interior and exterior parts. For example, here you can see dashboard and side walls for the cockpit, as well as, for example, here we have engine cylinder blocks and some additional equipment for the engine. Also, landing gear wheels should be assembled out of several parts, and hubs are molded separately, what should make painting process a bit easier because you can just paint them separately and then insert into the tires. And here you can see also the wheel wells parts which should be installed onto the wing. Next we have assembly manual. This one is finished in form of this simple brochure. As you can see, parts map on the first page. Note that few parts won't be used and will go into your spare parts box. Assembly process of course starts with cockpit, and we continue with propeller, assemble everything together, and here we have two marking guides for two marking options which are included into this kit. And of course on the last page we have stencil in position guide, because this is a 1/48 scale kit. So Eduard decided to include stencils into this kit, and that's a definite, let's say, plus, because it will add to the realistic appearance of this kit, and of course it will be even more attractive to have model with stencils on it. And now we can move on to decal sheets. Both are printed in Eduard. So here we have the first one. This one is dedicated to different stencils which are present on the aircraft. And as you can see, printing quality is more or less nice. And then we have another one which is dedicated to symbols for two marking options which you just saw before. Note that also here we have decals for the cockpit and belts for the pilot seat. So if you apply those, you might get a quite nice appearance of the cabin without using any PE parts. But if you want serious detailing, I would rather suggest to use PE parts straight away. So that's all for this video review. Another nice weekend edition is already available straight from Eduard webshop. And of course, if you want to check photos of those sprues, of those parts, just click the link in the video description below. There should be a review article, and it is written in two languages, so it will be quite interesting for you, I hope. And of course, if you would like to support us, if you want to see more video reviews like this, press the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel, because it will help us greatly. And I will see you in the next video review as usual. Bye!